What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Y'all hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. So earlier I went live and I was talking about Mr. Marcellus Wiley. And I was explaining how Marcellus Wiley is not a friend of the black community at all. Right? Now, when I made that video, I spoke about the reason why it was a topic of conversation today is because D.L. Hughley, comedian and now political talking pundit as well, he went on Vlad TV. And D.L. Hughley expressed how he's not a fan of Marcellus Wiley. And he started to explain why. Marcellus Wiley then responded to D.L. Hughley on his YouTube channel. I did not watch Marcellus Wiley's response, but I firmly agree with D.L. Hughley about Marcellus Wiley. And I've had these feelings about Marcellus for quite a while. I've had a video talking about this, in particular, why I don't fool with Marcellus Wiley and why he can't be trusted. But let's explain this. First of all, some of y'all don't know who Marcellus Wiley is. I will inform you. Marcellus Wiley is a former NFL player. He played about 10 years in the NFL. He's a Compton, California native. He went to college at an Ivy League school, Columbia. Went to Columbia in New York, Ivy League, Columbia, and then went on to the NFL from Columbia, which is an unheard of path for real. You know, most guys, because Marcellus was one of the top football players in the country when he was in high school, but he chose to go to Ivy League Columbia instead of going to one of these premier football programs. And he chose to do that because he said, hey, I wanted to get a degree from a school I wanted to get an education and a degree from a school that is really revered, I'm assuming, so he can get a good job just in case the NFL did not pan out for him, right? However, the NFL panned out. He went to the NFL, was a former Pro Bowler, made the Pro Bowl 1 year. I think, he played for about 10 years. After playing in the NFL, he went into the media space, sports media in particular. Started talking about sports on different programs on ESPN, Fox Sports as well. And he's made a name for himself in that realm. So I was always saluting Marcellus for being a black man coming from inner city community like Compton, California, coming from a rough area like Compton, going and getting his degree and choosing the Ivy League school, getting a degree from an Ivy League school and having that to fall back on while maintaining his excellence on the football field. I thought that was admirable. I thought that was something that is that's something that he should be proud of. And a lot of us should be proud of him for doing, because he could have just went to a school that was a football powerhouse and just went on about his way. But he like, yo, I'm going to take my education serious. And I thought that was a great example for a lot of young athletes to follow. Now, many athletes didn't follow this method, but it was still something that was great that he did. However, after being in the sports media space for a while, I started to find out who Marcellus Wiley really is as a person, right? Where his what's the word I'm looking for? Where his loyalties lie, what motives he really has for real. First of all, Marcellus Wiley is a good friend of Jason Whitlock. And I'm sorry to say this, any man that's a good friend, any black man in particular for real, who's a good friend of who's a good friend of Jason Whitlock, any black man who's a good friend of Jason Whitlock, I know what side your bread is buttered on, for real. I know where you fall in. I know where you stand on a lot of issues involving black folks when Jason Whitlock is your homeboy. Uncle Ruckus himself. Jason Whitlock, the butter biscuit eating Sambo, Jason Whitlock himself. If that's your homie, I know what you want, right? That's Marcellus' good friend. But then we started to see how he felt about Colin Kaepernick, calling Colin Kaepernick out for kneeling in protest of police brutality. He was like, I've been black all my life, basically questioning Cap's blackness as if like that had anything to do with him taking a stance against police brutality. What the fuck does that have to do with him taking a stand against police brutality? Oh, why you wasn't doing it then? Man, people change, people grow. People change their position on a lot of things. People become more enlightened about things. And when they become more enlightened, they act accordingly. They take action in certain ways. Marcellus Wiley was going at Colin Kaepernick Like, I mean, tremendous, like vigorously, in a fashion that I feel resembles Jason Whitlock, right? So then, after you pay attention to Marcellus Wiley and the commentary that he has on his YouTube channel, whenever there is a conversation about something that's clearly about race, Jason Whitlock is dying to make it about something else. Like, he's one of those brothers, like, if something is clearly about race and is clearly racist, if it's clearly anti-black racism, Marcellus Wiley will pull at straws to tell us it's something else. Hey, maybe it's not racism. Maybe it's just classism. Maybe it's ageism. Maybe it's just, there's a misunderstanding here. Like, what? He does that all the time, you know? I'm telling y'all, bro, if the Ku Klux Klan came to a black man's door with Kool-Aid and watermelon in their hand, Marcellus Wiley would be like, we can't say it's about race. We don't know if it's racist. We don't know that. We don't know that. I can't say it's racist. It could be that, these guys may just want to give him a warm welcome to the neighborhood. Maybe they just felt like playing dress up because it was close to Halloween, and they wanted to just provide a little dress up while giving a warm welcome to the new black neighbors. Hey, get the fuck out of here. That's what Marcellus be on that type of time. He will look for a clear out. He will give a white supremacist an out from being racist at every turn. And I cannot respect a black man that does that. I cannot stand in solidarity with a black man that does that, because you don't stand in solidarity with black folks. Okay? For real, when stuff is clearly about race, is about race and is racist, he will try to take a whole nother approach and try to intellectualize it. That's that I went to an Ivy League school shit. And again, I commend brothers for going. If you go to Ivy League school, brothers and sisters, you get you a degree from an Ivy League school. Much respect to you. I commend brothers and sisters that do that. Hey, you took your education seriously. You survived the rigors of the curriculum at these schools, and you came out in high fashion. You came out exemplary by graduating. However, I don't give kudos to people who use these Ivy League degrees to support the framework of white supremacy, right? By gaslighting black people into thinking that we don't know what we're talking about. Because Marcellus Wiley, if you ask him, if something is clearly racist, and you say, hey, is this racist? If a person is calling a black person an N-word, calling them all type of monkeys and all type of crazy racial slurs, Marcellus Wiley will try to intellectualize it. Well, Homer, when he wrote the Iliad, if I can think about it, when we talk about Albert Einstein, what are we talking about, bro? Huh? Start talking about Homer and talking about all these different he tried to do all this explaining for anti-black racists. I get lost. Like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Start talking about paintings from all these different artists and like, what? No, that has nothing to do with the topic at hand. He tries to intellectualize anti-black racism in favor of he tries to intellectualize it, not in support of black folks, to show, hey, black people are really being railroaded. He tries to show intellectualism in support of the anti-black racists to explain that, hey, they just have a difference of opinion. I hate people who view clear racism as just simply a difference of opinion. That's what Charlie Kirk supporters were trying to do. It's just a difference of opinion. Bullshit. When you tell black folks we were better off during slavery because we committed less crime, when you tell black women they don't have the brain processing power to be taken seriously, when you say if you see a black pilot, you're going to say, boy, I hope he's qualified. I hope they're qualified, right? When you paint black folks as the face of violence in this country and then you get unalived by a white man, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not a difference of opinion. That's hate speech. That's hate rhetoric, like for real. And we can't chalk it up as just simply a difference of opinion. Marcellus Wiley will chalk up anti-black racism like that as a difference of opinion. He sympathizes with white supremacists. And a person who does that is no friend of the black community. I don't care how many degrees you have. I don't care what school you went to. I'm a man that has multiple degrees. I have a master's degree, right? So I'm all about education. But if I was out here on nocturnal animal time, y'all better listen. I wouldn't look. Y'all, I'm gonna say y'all better check me. Y'all better check me if I was on that type of time. I'm trying to explain what I was gonna say. But I'm not absolved from getting checked, is what I really wanted to say. If I was on nocturnal animal time, I wouldn't be absolved from being checked because I got degrees. Because I went to an Ivy League school. I didn't go to an Ivy League school, but I'm saying if I did, I wouldn't be absolved from getting checked. You know? My degrees that I have, my bachelor's and my master's, don't make me above reproach. Come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? But Marcellus, oh my God, he will get the splain and doing all this intellectual talk. Again, talking about all these different Road Dial's book about James and the Giant Peach talks about classism and how it's not classism, it's not racism, it's classism. I promise y'all, one of these days, I wouldn't be shocked if Marcellus Wiley went on his YouTube channel and said that slavery was about economics. It was about finances and not about racism. I wouldn't be surprised if he took that approach because he spent his time in those white spaces instead of learning what he had to learn in order to help, in order to basically combat anti-Black racism, right? And becoming educated to combat anti-Black racism. He's become a, what's the word I'm looking for? He's assisted anti-Black racism by being a man who makes Black people look like we're just being victims. His rhetoric, where he's always excusing racism, it makes us look like we're just being complainers and we're just making shit up. You know, it don't start to, hey man, you don't like him because he has a difference of opinion than you. Oh my gosh, Ashby gosh. Gee Willikers, gee whiz, he can't have a different opinion than you? Oh my God. No, when you have an opinion that undermines Black folks and the advancement of Black people, when you have an opinion that makes Black folks look like we crazy when we talk about systemic racism, when you talk like that, when you say things that make us look crazy when we're talking about systemic racism and police brutality, you off code and you need to be checked. When your opinions and your talking points are used to aid white supremacists in their rhetoric against Black folks, you're not a friend of Black people. People will look at Marcellus Wiley and say, hey man, he went to Columbia. He's a smart guy. He's a swell guy. He's smart, man. He's brilliant. And he doesn't believe in this racism babble. How could you guys? He's smart. He's from Compton. He's from the hood. He has a degree from Columbia. He doesn't believe this stuff is racism. He says it's classism. He says it's just a difference of opinion. He says it's just a little different, the difference of understanding cultures. Hey man, just because I have a Klan hood on and I call you the N-word, and I throw fried chicken at your doorstep, and I put Kool-Aid at your doorstep as well, just because I call you a watermelon eater and a monkey does not make me racist. Marcellus Wiley will agree with me. He will agree with me. So Marcellus provides credibility, or he gives white supremacists validity in their whole notion that, oh, white people are just, Black people are being victims. When he comes with that, oh man, I went to Columbia, and I know that when I read books by all of the fine authors, when I read books by some of the great writers in American history, we found that it was not racism, it was just classism. It was simply misunderstandings that had us at odds with each other in this country. It wasn't racism that had slavery going. It was about finances and economics. You see, a brother like that is very dangerous. Very dangerous, because he gets around his conservative friends, these anti-Black, his white supremacist friends that he went to school with, them conservative individuals. I'm not saying everybody that went to Columbia is a white supremacist. I'm not saying everybody that went to Columbia is a conservative. But there were definitely a significant amount of them in there. Can't tell me otherwise, right? He's very dangerous because he gets around them and looks to assimilate. He went to school at Columbia to assimilate. That's what he went to do, to rub shoulders with them and to be one of the good old boys, to be accepted in their club. That's what he went to school for. Rather than going to school and advancing himself, he got his degree and all of that, but he went and did that to assimilate into the good old boys club, not rise above that and to talk to shoot down anti-black racism. He didn't go to school for that. Because again, you go to school not just to shoot down anti-black racism, you go to school to further yourself and all of that too. So we're not going to act like you don't go to school to further yourself and get you a good job and get you a high-paying job and all of those things as well. But also, when you become a learned man, when you go and get your education, when you become enlightened, part of being enlightened and being educated is to shoot down ridiculous notions, especially notions that are against your people. Because now you are intellectually inclined, you're intellectually, you have the cognitive development and you're intellectually experienced enough to hold your own against these people who spew ignorant anti-black rhetoric. You are well versed. You should be able to be well versed to shoot down those notions. And instead of shooting down the notions and the anti-black rhetoric, he supports anti-black rhetoric by saying, I don't think this was racist. I think it was just, people just not understanding each other and just, like all of that, man, just like Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown be on the Art of Dialogue. They asked him about Charlie Kirk. Well, I don't think he was a racist. I just think we had a difference of opinion. And when back in my day in the school, we would play the dozens. And when we played the dozens, we would talk about your mama, my mama, and we were tough. We were tough men back in my day. We were tough. We were tough and strong and tough, and we just knew how to take it. Now we too soft, and Charlie Kirk not no racist. He just a good Christian man, a father, or husband. God damn, Judge Joe Brown. You want them butter biscuits that bad? He's a senile butter biscuit. He's a butter biscuit eating senile Sambo. Judge Joe Brown, he be ready to protect white supremacists at every turn. He lays down a soft blanket of protection for them and put on kid gloves to protect white supremacists. And so does Marcellus Wiley. Marcellus do the same shit. Him and Jason Whitlock are the same person. They are just packaged differently. Jason Whitlock will stand on his anti-black hate that he preaches. He will stand on his anti-black rhetoric with his chest poked out, smiling, skinning and grinning and tell you, yep, I said it. The hell with all you black motherfuckers. That's what he will say, right? Jason Whitlock will say that. I'm sorry. Jason Whitlock will say that. The hell with y'all. He will stand on it and smiling and proud with his chest poked out. Marcellus, on the other hand, he won't stand on his anti-blackness loud. He'll just, he'll do little things to let you know he's not with black folks. Like empathize with clear racists who are obviously against black folks. And some people say I shouldn't say certain things about Marcellus. I'm sorry, y'all. Some people say, well, you should leave Marcellus alone because Marcellus has a black wife and a black family. And listen, you can be a black man with a black wife and a black family and still be a butter biscuit eating Sambo. You still can be a person who undermines black folks at every turn. You still can be a person who throws black folks under the bus all the time. So simply having a black family I'm sure his family is lovely. But when you are out here all the time denying racism left and right, for real, you are not, especially when it's clearly racism, you're not a friend of us. Because now you're going to say, when you say we just crying wolf every single time, oh man, you got that Ivy League degree, they're going to take you serious. Oh, look, he's one of the smart ones from their community. They think we dumb. He's one of the smart ones. And he says that this isn't racist. He says just because you're friends with David Duke, just because David Duke is your best friend, that doesn't make you racist. You just think David Duke's a good guy. He's a good guy. You get where I'm going with this? For real, man. So people will latch on to everything Marcellus says because he got that Ivy League degree. And they're going to look at him as some type of leader amongst us because, he got that Ivy League degree. And so everything he says has to be law. So if he says something isn't racist, and if it isn't racism, if he says it isn't racism, then, hey, he should know better than anybody because he's a black man from Compton that has a degree, an Ivy League degree from Columbia. So he should know better than anybody. That's what they think, right? That's what they think. That's what they would say. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, I can't champion a person whose rhetoric will be used to harm black people. And Marcellus Wiley always denying racism, that could be used to harm black folks. And he should know better. He should know better, man. You know, but a lot of times, especially what I tend to see is that, and again, black basketball players, there are some basketball playing butter biscuit eaters. There are some basketball playing buck dancers, 100%. Never going to deny that. But it's something too about, man, it's a lot of, you see a lot of them in football. Because a lot of football is America's favorite pastime. It's not baseball. Boy, it's members of the KKK that love a good football game. You boy, it's some of the most racist white men in America love football. And they will love a black man who's helping their football team achieve dominance and achieve greatness. They will hate black folks in general, but they will love you on the football field. They will respect your football prowess. And so a lot of men like Marcellus Wiley, they get that confused with, oh, they really like me. They think I'm one of them. They really accept me. No, they like what you can do. They've been nestling up to you for what you've done on the football field. They become in awe of you because you have great athletic prowess. They don't really respect you. You're not going to be one of them. They're not going to consider you one of the good old boys, one of the guys. Herschel Walker need to hear that too. He don't know. He's just, they're fascinated at your athletic prowess. They're fascinated that Marcellus was able to be a premier athlete on the football field while being a student at Columbia, but they love the fact that he was on a football field and he played professional in one of the games that they love. Some of the most racist white men in America love football. So they will love the hell out of you until you have a message they don't agree with. Okay? So a lot of white men love Colin Kaepernick before he came out with that message. A lot of racist white folks love Colin Kaepernick before he got on some pro-black type talk. You know? So, yeah, man, a lot of dudes in them football spaces, they get their heads rubbed on a lot. They back rubbed on. They get a lot of attaboys. And I shouldn't even say that because I'm not trying to demean football players because some of my best friends were college football players. But they know what I'm trying to say. Even they know what I'm trying to say. A lot of the black athletes that play football, especially on collegiate levels and all of that, they get admired. And a lot of these racist white men admire them for their athletic prowess. And they confuse that with thinking they love me. They really love me. No, they hate your black ass. They just like that you can play sports and you can play their favorite game. And you might have played for their favorite team. Outside of that, if they saw you walking down the street by yourself, they wouldn't piss on you if you was on fire. And I'm being my rhetoric is a little harsh, but I just have to keep it real, man. So Marcellus Wiley and Jason Whitlock are friends because they are birds of the same feather. And they flock together. They are branches on the same tree. Jason Whitlock just has Marcellus Wiley just has a softer approach about his step and fetch it business than Jason Whitlock. Marcellus he will soft shoe around his nocturnal animal activity. Jason Whitlock will tap dance. Both of them tap dance, but Jason Whitlock will stomp his feet in his butter biscuit eating and his buck dancing. But they birds off of the same feather. Marcellus just knows how to do all this babbling, this intellectual babble to try to explain away racism. He just know how to do that a little bit, in ways that Jason Whitlock doesn't know how to do. But they are of the same tree and of the same ilk. Machiavelli Mills TV. I'm out, y'all. Peace.